So, welcome to Youth Central Conversation. Um, this one's a very exciting one because I'm hanging out with my pal Ben. How's it going, mate?
Yeah, really good. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. A lot of you won't have a clue who this guy is, but I'll do some introductions to you. So, I first met Ben, and this is not even, this is just, I've just realised that this is a bit ironic because I'm wearing a Soul Survivor t shirt, Soul Survivor
Mm.
2016 17, maybe release. I should probably get some what do you call it? Probably get some.
Updated merch.
That's it, merch, and some. I might have to pay for some licensing after just saying their name and advertising their jumper. But there we go. I first met Ben at Soul Survivor, and I think it was back in 2009 or 10.
Wow.
And you were doing the sports. You were on sport. You were leading one of the sports teams, and I was leading. I was part of the production team.
Mm.
And I think we just met by me moving some chairs and you asking for some basketball hoops. I don't know. Actually, I think it was in the football field.
Oh yeah.
Is it
You
coming back
came
to
to watch,
memory?
you came to watch your young people play, and I
That's what
was
it was.
I was a brilliant referee.
You were refereeing. Yeah,
I think
exactly.
you described me as the only competent referee.
Yes. Yeah, you're very fair, weren't you? This is the start of a
I
beautiful
was.
friendship.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've been back in touch for a short while now, and
Mm.
it's been kind of great to catch up with you and stuff. And you are a digital evangelist, but before we explain that, why don't you tell a bit about your story and kind of where you're up to in life?
Yeah. So my name is Ben, and I am a digital evangelist, and I'll tell you more about how I sort of came to that role. Um, but I grew up in a Christian family. I gave my life to Jesus when I was 5 years old. I gave my life to Jesus because the night before my brother did it, and we shared a bunk bed. And my brother got a free notebook and a Bible. And back when I was younger, a notebook was like an iPad. Um, and so I was like, oh my goodness, this is the greatest thing ever. So I'll tactically wait a night, pray the prayer with my mum, and then I'll get a notebook and a Bible. That'll be a
Clever,
dream. And
clever.
they didn't replenish the notebook and Bible stack. They weren't expecting the second child
Are you
to
joking?
convert so quickly. So no notebook available. They said, "Oh, we'll get it for you another point." But yeah, so I gave my life to Jesus at 5, and then I guess a quick overview there were 3 moments where life and faith collided for me. The first was when I moved to secondary school when I was 11, and it was unavoidable because my dad was the assembly guy. So he came in to do the Christian assemblies at school. And straight away, within the first 3 weeks of moving to secondary school, my dad came in to do an assembly, and all the people in my year group were saying, "Oh, do you believe the same stuff as your dad? Are you a Christian as well?" And so I was faced with that. And so life and faith collided. And then when when I was 14, I had to make a decision whether I'd carry on playing football or go to church. When I moved to the under 14s, football moved to a Sunday morning. And back when I was younger, might sound really old, but back when I was younger, there was less youth group stuff in my church and more just, it was a Sunday morning thing. And so there was less mentoring and discipleship and stuff like that. So it was a Sunday morning thing. So I had to make that decision. Do I continue to play football? Do I stay in church? And then the third was when I was 16. I'd just finished my last GCSE exam, and a girl who'd bullied me right throughout secondary school came up to me, and she said, are you a Christian? Do you believe what you say that you believe? Like, are you going to stand by it? And I was just getting ready. It was like people started gathering around because they knew that things were going to kick off. She was a bit of a brute, and she'd bullied me for sort of 4 or 5 years. And she was very tall. She was taller than me, bigger than me. And so as I was looking up to her and about to proclaim the gospel and be like, yes, I am a Christian, I'm going to stand up for Jesus, she headbutted me and popped my nose. And I
Gosh.
ran off crying.
Oh
Um,
man.
so yeah, 3 occasions, I guess, where life and faith collided. And I guess those moments where I stood up and said, yes, I do believe what my dad believes, where I chose church over football. Sure, maybe I regret it now. Could have been a professional footballer. Absolutely not. But there's moments where I'm glad that I took a stand and said, yes, I am a follower of Jesus, and this is what I believe. And then that helped me work out what my faith looked like in my personal life, to then go on to study youth work at university and want to become a youth worker, and wanted to, I guess, not really grow up and just continue to be a big kid and have fun and share, life experience and with young people, and say, hey, following Jesus is the greatest discovery that you'll ever have. It's the greatest adventure. It is absolutely difficult and it's hard work, but it is an absolute joy. And I want to help you discover that joy. So that's a little bit about my story. So, some of it ties into that. So about 10 years ago, my brother started to practice football tricks and started getting really good, my older brother. And then I started filming him and doing some editing for him. And we put his videos on YouTube to get them onto his website. And then the YouTube boom happened, and Dan, my brother, took off and became a full-time YouTuber. People started watching him. People started following him. He's got about 700,000 subscribers. And so has just continued to grow. And I started off by editing and videoing his stuff. And then 4 years ago at Soul Survivor 2016, my youth group went with my brother's youth group, and two young lads who weren't from either of our youth groups, but right at the moment where they had a chance to respond to the gospel, they recognized my brother from YouTube and they were big fans. So they got invited forward. I don't know if they were Christians or not, but they got invited forward to respond to the gospel. These two lads got up and they asked my brother for a selfie. And something within me in that moment was stirred. And I was like, right, my brother is amazing and I love him to bits and I want to support him and push him forward in any way that I can. But he's not the young people's savior. Like, how do we point young people to beyond who Dan is, and how do we point them towards Jesus? And I realized in that moment that YouTube and social media and influence is a huge, huge thing. And so I set out from that moment to start creating content that was fun and engaging, but pushed young people beyond Ben cutting and pushed them towards Jesus.
Yeah.
And so I did that locally in my youth group for 2 years. And then a year and a bit ago, I applied for a job as digital evangelist at Youth for Christ, where that is now my full-time job. So I make YouTube videos full-time for young people.
Wow.
Yeah.
There we go. And it almost felt a little bit like full circle in the sense that, you and your brother had a lot of fun. Football was a big deal. And in fact, football is global. It's been global for such a long time. And social media has kind of come into that phase now of being global and in its own entity. And for you to basically come into that place where you are filming and sharing stories, sharing life through social media is a big deal. And even, I don't know if you realise this, but young people, some young people now have not known a world without social media. Yeah. It's like completely part of them. It's ridiculous. But yeah. So second question is already answered. How did God call you to the digital evangelism? And then just sort of how's life been in terms of working as a digital evangelist? So what, have you had any highs or lows during that time?
Yeah, I think, so I guess there's two parts of my job. The first is my public, in terms of what people see. It's easy to tell people about Jesus through the YouTube channel because that's my job. Mm-hmm. I can be unashamedly open. I am a Christian. This is what I believe. The videos that we make are evangelistic. So we want young people who are Christians to be able to share them with their friends. So we make videos that are totally not awkward. They're cringe free. They're fun. They're engaging. And they encourage people to share the videos with their friends and stuff like that. And I guess that's quite easy. But then I think something personally was like, okay, if I'm doing this for my job, then I need to be telling people, I need in the same way that, I need to be an evangelist in my own personal life. I love telling people about Jesus. I want to do that with my friends as well. If I'm doing it for my job, why aren't I doing it with my friends as well? And so, that's the more difficult part for me, telling my friends and continuing to communicate and posting some stuff online and sharing stories and taking snapshots of the videos that I make for young people and thinking, actually, my friends might really find this helpful. Let me post this on my my personal page and stuff like that. But that's always a little bit more daunting. I guess the highs and lows come from where you put so much effort into a video and it gets a small amount of views and you think, wow, what happened there? And then the highs, just at the start of lockdown, we got a video shared by the police, the sort of UK Instagram page of the police, which was really good because I think that's probably one of my proudest moments because they recognized the importance of what we were doing. And they were like, young people need to see this. And so, yeah, I think, yeah, there are good times, there are negative comments, there are dislikes on videos, which all go in with the ups and downs. And,
Sure.
and I think the most important thing for me to remember is that and this is easier to say and harder to live out, but my identity isn't wrapped in whether a video does well or not.
Yeah.
So if I upload a video this week and it goes viral, like it's not gonna help me get closer to God in any way. God isn't going to love me more because a video went viral. In the same way, if a video flops, he's not going to love me anymore. And so I have to live in that identity every single day and be like, I'm not defined by the amounts of likes or views or anything like that. I have to stand firm on who Jesus is and what he's done and what he says about me.
Yeah, that's great. That's really, really good. And it's so challenging. Not only youth central guys that are watching now, but for any of us that are challenged by what we value, what we say as an idol. And it's super hard, isn't it? It's super hard to not put your hope or your full confidence in something that's going to be very, in essence, temporary. So, yeah, that's good. That's really, really good. Have you got any inspiring stories in terms of stuff that you've had from work? Shared the police story, which was great. Shared much more than maybe you realise. People have watched that probably more than the views that you probably see on YouTube.
Yeah, I think one of the best stories we had is that a youth worker got in touch with me who is based in Newcastle, and he was like, mate, we planned for this sports breakfast club this morning and the rain came, and so we had like 30 year 9s in a classroom and we didn't know what to do, so we just shoved on one of your videos and then had a discussion off the back of it, and it was one of the best discussions we've ever had. And
wow.
I think things like that encourage me, and I'm like, this is why we do what we do. We long to connect in a way that not that other people can't, but actually that maybe that the young people are so used to connecting every single day. So young people watch YouTube all the time. Like you guys who are watching this love YouTube. You're on TikTok. You're doing all these things on social media, and actually we don't want to be a separate thing like, oh, watch intro outro. We want to be part of that. We want to be something that speaks differently and says different things in terms of speaks the truth of the gospel through fun videos, but we don't want it to be like, oh, and now I'm going to watch the Christian channel. Like we want it to be a natural, like, actually this is fun, this is brilliant, and I love what this is about, and this can fit in my sub box, and just naturally I'd want to watch this anyway. So
yeah. No, I completely agree. Yeah, that's good. So the next question. Has God been saying anything to you during lockdown? Because lockdown has not been like any other thing that we've witnessed or experienced before. So yeah, has God been kind of saying anything to you or reminding you something, whether it's to do with your videos or not?
I think the videos that I make reflect how I'm feeling. So that's where we're always authentic. Not if I'm having a bad day, I'll just sort of go on camera and be like, oh, I'm having an awful day. But actually, you know, the things that I'm dealing with. So we did a video on prayer a few weeks ago, and it was personal to what I was experiencing, and so it often reflects how I'm doing. I think one of the biggest things that God has been speaking to me about is that sometimes, so God is spotlessly trustworthy in every, like he's always kind and he's always good, despite the circumstances that I'm going through. The truth and the reality of who Jesus is that he's always kind and that he's always good. And so if I'm going to live that out despite my circumstances, which means if I wake up in the morning and say, God, you are kind, you are good. I want to honor and glorify, bring glory to you today because you deserve it. Not because of if I have a good day or not because if I go for a run and I beat my personal best, or the views get higher on YouTube, like because of what you've already done in your son through Jesus. Like that is enough for me to praise you today. So if I then get out of bed and then I stub my toe and straight away I curse God and I'm like, what are you doing? You've ruined my day. Like, why would you do this? Or if I hear news that my sister's unwell and she's in hospital, and actually what does it look like to, in those moments, to understand that God is always good and he's always kind despite my circumstances. For me, lockdown has been one of the most challenging, and I'm sure for many people watching, but on a personal level, like it's been one of the most difficult times in my entire life. And how have I think there's two things that have kept me going. One is walks every single day and getting out and doing something active for my daily exercise. And the other thing is picking up my Bible and reminding myself of the truth, because the moment we go onto Instagram, the moment we go onto TikTok and YouTube, we start to feed ourselves with truth of the world, truth of what things say about us, or I don't look like that person, or I don't sound like that person, or I wish I had that girl's voice and how great a singer she is, or I wish I looked like, do you know what I mean? All these things feed this truth, but actually it's only through the word of God. If we go to that every single day to get our truth, that's where the ultimate truth is. And so, yeah, I think that despite my circumstances, despite what's going on, despite whether the washing machine breaks or me and a mate fall out that day, like God is still good and he's still kind and he still longs to show that to us.
Yeah, it's really good. And I think even when, lockdown, well, it's starting to lift a little bit at the moment, but when it fully lifts, whatever that looks like, still that truth that you said still remains. And actually, It might even be harder, because we may get back the stuff that we missed and experienced. But actually, we want Jesus to be the one that we long for, the one that we want to look to, because nothing else is going to satisfy even more, which is great. And final question for you then, Ben. So if young people are looking at this, and they're probably either on their phones watching this on a smart TV, checking out if this is even true, if you are a digital evangelist, and if you do actually have intro-outro, I can say that he does. And side note, when I was doing some schoolwork recently, there was a kid that asked me, because we showed some of your videos as well, and a kid asked me, how many subs has he got? I was like, subs? What are you talking about, subs? It took me a few seconds to work out you meant subscribers. Wow. I know, I'm getting to that age, horrendous. Anyway, the question was, how can young people engage? How can they engage using a similar platform that you're doing at the moment? How can they engage through social media? Because young people are on social media. A lot of people are. So if they're feeling inspired by this, how can they engage with Jesus or communicate Jesus through a social media platform?
Yeah, I think so. I am on Facebook, which for some of you be like, well, Facebook, that's crazy. Yeah, exactly. On Facebook, I'm part of I'm a celiac, which means I can only eat gluten-free food. And on Facebook, I'm part of a gluten's under 30 group. Now I'm 31, so I'm worried that they're going to kick me out at any moment. So I live every day checking my phone, being like, have I been kicked out? Ironically, it's called Gluten's Under 30, which stands for guts. So I'm part of a group on Facebook called Guts. Anyway, there's a point to this. And the point is that whenever somebody tastes something that's good, they share it on the Facebook group. Whenever they taste something that is like amazing, whenever they say, oh my goodness, I've just been to Birmingham for the day and I've discovered this gluten-free burger place. Like, you guys need to try this, right? And the reason why is because, one, we want to help other people, but also two, it flows out of who we are. Like when I eat pizza, the first thing I do, and it's good and it's gluten-free, the first thing I do is text my family group and I'm like, guys, I just had the best gluten-free pizza. No one else in my family is gluten-free. They don't care. In fact, they probably all muted the WhatsApp, but it flows out of who I am, right? Because I love food. And so in the same way, like, if you're not spending time with Jesus, if you're not getting into his word, if you're not building your communion, if you're not building your relationship with Jesus, then it's not going to flow out of who you are, and it's going to feel forced, and it's going to feel, if I can't post about vegetables, like I'm not a vegan, I can't it just wouldn't work if I was suddenly to be like, oh guys, this vegetable has changed my life. Like I don't really eat vegetables, so it's like a forced, no, exactly, that more than anyone. And so it's like a forced thing, right? But actually the things that I love and the things that are part of who I am flow out of me naturally, and they flow out of me on my social media platforms. When I hear a good song for the first time, I post about it. I'm like, guys, check out this song, this is unbelievable. In the same way, when I read something in the Bible and it speaks to me, I'm like, just because my mates who don't follow Jesus are following me on Instagram doesn't mean that I can't post about what I'm passionate about. This is what flows out of me. This is absolutely who I am. So that truth that I just shared around, like, despite my circumstances, God is still good and he's still kind. Like that needs to, like, I need to remind people of that, and it might be that through one conversation off the back of something that we post, God might choose to open their eyes to him in that moment. It's not up to us. That's the truth of it. It's not down to Ben Cutting to do such a good job on intro outro that young people come to know Jesus. But actually it's our responsibility as Christians to present the gospel plainly and simply. And it's God that opens blind eyes. And what your friends see on your Instagram might be the only bit of truth that they see that whole day, that whole week. And so we need to be people who combat what they see and start small. You don't have to post 3 minutes worth of Instagram stories of you sat there holding your phone and just in a mundane tone telling them why they should follow Jesus. It might be that you start with a Wednesday Bible verse, and start to get people like, oh yeah, that's nice, that's Sasha's Wednesday's Bible verse or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like it sort of, it doesn't have to be a full, oh my goodness, I have to go and become an evangelist, a digital evangelist right now through my platform. But actually, if it's part of who you are and you're spending time with Jesus, then it should flow out of who you are onto the platforms that you're on.
No, that's great. And I think that's a great tip as well, to start small, because actually God is about the journey. He's about, he's not about the stuff that is just full blown, but actually the journey, the stuff that takes time. And even, you mentioned food. Food is a big love language to you, Ben, but also to us, as you know. And even that kind of thing of just sharing stuff that, and having that maybe little sentence, oh, thank you, God, for burgers. Make that a thing, that kind of thing. So you're right, starting off small is great. And I think, guys, the more that we can connect through God personally is when we're going to see it break out on social media platforms. So Ben, thank you so much for joining us. Much appreciated. Guys, go and check out Intro Outro. He has 1.1k subscribers. Is that right?
1.7.
1.7.
We're almost at 2,000 followers, 2,000 subscribers. So
it's climbing. It's not about that, but it's good recognition still. Check it out. Comment what has been your favourite moment either on this video or even on the Intro Outro videos. We'll see you soon for the next Youth Central conversation. Thanks, Ben.
Pleasure.
See ya.